So how the track list feel? I'm going about. Did you guys write the opener be the opener, closer be a closer, shuffle around and see what fits? What was that process like?
Um, yeah, so the opening track Counterfeit, that was one of the earlier ones that I put together. And I did feel like it was opening track potential.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I kind of want to say same thing with Lament. Like as soon as that came out, it was like, okay, that seems like a closing track to me.
Yeah.
Um, all the stuff in the middle, honestly, was just like what flows.
Yeah.
Uh, it there wasn't really a conscious decision for the rest of the album of um, we need a song to be the middle of the album, if you know what I mean. It was more just we wrote a bunch of songs. I think we ended up writing maybe 18 to 20 songs and
Damn.
cutting it down from there.
Yeah.
And that was just like, these are the songs that we feel like fit together and represent us as a band at that time.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, at that point it was just listening through and see what kind of flowed together.
Yeah. Goddamn. So 18 to 20 songs written, were those fully fleshed out or just like ideas?
Most of them had vocals at least. It was a pretty lengthy process for us. It was our first album.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we were kind of just like throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what stuck.
Yeah.
Um, there were a few ideas where I was like, most of the instrumentals there, but we have better stuff, so let's not really pursue it.
Yeah.
So there's a few of those, but there are definitely songs that we are probably never going to release that are pretty fully fleshed out.
Damn, never gonna release. That's crazy. No like little silly little B-side or anything?
Yeah, I mean, never say never,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, 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 that's fair.
yeah,
Locked
yeah,
away in the vault for now.
Yeah.
exactly.
Curious about like the timeline for the record, like when you guys kind of officially started writing things and when things were wrapped up, mastered, turned in, and turning the page on it.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of a full time length, I want to say it was about a year and a half,
Mhm.
something like
Oh,
that.
okay. Hmm.
Um, so not the shortest process ever, but again, it was our first album. We were kind of still figuring it out.
Yeah.
Because we put out an EP called Memoria in 2022.
Hmm.
Um, and I think it was probably 6 months or so after that that we actually started thinking about what we were doing next in terms of like, is it going to be an EP? Is it going to be an album? Is it,
Yeah.
what do we want to do really? Um, so yeah, it was a little bit after that EP that we started writing. And then, once you have the music done, it's like, obviously getting it mixed and stuff like that. I was doing the mixing in-house for it, which
Hmm.
is like a blessing and a curse because
Yeah.
you can spend forever tweaking on your own material, but
Hmm.
you do have to call it at the end of the day and say like, hey, it's done.
Hmm.
Um, and then there's also vinyl pressing times, which is probably the most lengthy process,
Mhm.
Hmm.
and music videos, all that kind of stuff. So it had that kind of 6 month window of sitting around just kind of waiting for it to come out.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Now,
Yeah.
funny that you bring up the mixing and that fine line of knowing when to stop versus not knowing when to stop, because that's been a question ping ponging in my head since you mentioned that you also produce all the stuff. So I'm curious,
Hmm.
for you, like how do you know when it's time to stop? Is it the band telling you to stop? Is it something that you know, or do you just keep going until they're physically pulling you off the controls?
Yeah, yeah. You do have to wear a couple of hats in that situation.
Hmm.
Because I produce full time with other bands, I kind of have the experience of um, working with a band as opposed to being in the band,
Mhm.
and doing your own thing as well. So I've kind of been on both sides of it. So at a certain point, I kind of just had to, all the production is done, all the recording is done.
Hmm.
You kind of have to separate yourself a little bit and make sure that the artist is happy with the product. So
Yeah.
obviously, you have your own taste and your own influence. So once I felt like it was getting to that point, I was delivering mixes as if it was another band that I was working with, and just making sure everyone was happy with it.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that was the lens that I tried to look at it through.
Yeah.
just making sure everyone's happy with it, and that I wasn't taking forever if I could help it.
Makes sense. Gotcha.
Completely fair.